Hi, and welcome back to Rise and Rise. Today, we'll be going through the 3 codes for women to reclaim their power. But before I get into it, remember I do have free resources on my webpage, and I will link that in the description. Okay, now let's begin. For too long, leadership has been filtered through a single narrow doorway, a model of power that equates success with relentless linear output, with being tougher, faster, and louder. Unfortunately, when women entered these spaces, the doorway wasn't redesigned as it should have been. Instead, women were expected to shrink and change to fit. We had to become tougher, less emotional, and we had to push harder than everyone else. Now, a woman can win in the system, and she does. But when women lead by abandoning their nature, they pay a price of disconnection from her body, an erosion of joy, and the slow, quiet betrayal of her own inner truth. But what if there was another way? A way to lead from inner authority, embodied truth, and cyclical wisdom, an influence that doesn't demand to be heard, but shifts the entire energy of the room. This is the philosophy of feminine leadership, and it's built on 3 fundamental codes. The first code is feminine leadership is sovereign. Our culture has long devalued qualities traditionally linked to the feminine. It elevated a narrow, male centric model of power as the only way to success. But true intelligence isn't just analytical, it is somatic, emotional, and intuitive. Real power doesn't reside in domination, it resides in presence, in the quiet authority of your own lived experience. The feminine leader leads from the inside out, grounded in inner wisdom, not ego driven certainty. She doesn't seek approval because her worth is self anchored, and she doesn't tense up to appear strong. She expands her presence. When faced with resistance, she doesn't push harder. She deepens into her breath, her body, and her purpose, and she responds with resilience, not aggression. She holds space, she listens deeply, and she inspires through authenticity. She creates ecosystems where people feel seen, nurtured, and awakened to their own potential. Intuition is her compass, empathy is her strength, collective effort is her strategy. This is the revival of an ancient lineage of priestesses, healers, and visionaries, suppressed but never extinguished. The second code is feminine leadership begins in the body. Leadership begins with listening to sensation, to energy, and to your intuition. Your body speaks before your mind can catch up. If you have a tight chest, a clenched jaw, or a knot in the stomach, these aren't distractions, they are data. A whisper of this isn't right is your values being compromised, and a feeling of this is too much signals your limits are being reached. Pause, delegate, and protect your energy. When you have the sensation of you're not being heard, that reveals that you are silencing your voice. And the pang of you're pretending points to your inauthenticity. Your body knows when you're wearing a mask. The feeling of your shrinking is an alert to a loss of presence. When you feel this, stand tall and speak up. And the deep ache of you're abandoning yourself, that echoes in fatigue from giving too much too often. These are precognitive warnings, and we must honor them to prevent burnout. If we ignore them, the whispers of burnout become screams. In the old model of success, the body is seen as a hindrance, but feminine leadership flips that script. The body is the compass that points towards sustainable achievement. The masculine model gives us the map, the plan, the strategy, the objectives. The feminine model hands us the compass, the ever present embodied guide that tells us if we're still pointing towards our true north. Now for code 3, which is feminine leadership is cyclical. Most of our institutions are built on a straight line logic, step 1, step 2, step 3, until you reach the goal. And this model works for building a bridge, for example, but it fails when applied to human beings, creativity, and sustainable growth. Because life isn't a straight line, it's a cycle. Nature shows us this: spring for planting, summer for growth, autumn for harvest, and winter for rest. But our work culture demands eternal summer, constant output, and no rest. The feminine leader honors the seasons of her own energy. She understands that creative work has its own cycles. We have a phase of inspiration and ideation, a phase of intense focused work, a phase of integration and reflection, and a phase of quiet rest where the next idea can begin to germinate. The feminine leader builds this wisdom into her teams and her projects. She doesn't just plan for launches, she plans for recovery as well. She doesn't only celebrate the intense work, but she normalizes periods of quiet reflection. This cyclical approach doesn't slow you down. It actually makes you resilient, and it prevents burnout. It fosters innovation and creates a rhythm of success that can be sustained for years, not quarters. So those are my 3 codes to feminine leadership. To put it simply, be sovereign in your authority. Begin in the body, using its wisdom as your compass, and lead in cyclical way that honors rhythm and sustainability. This is not about women becoming better leaders in the old system. It is about all of us, regardless of gender, pioneering a new blueprint of success, a future where achievement is measured not just by profit margins, but by the health, the fulfillment, and the resilience of the people who make it possible. If this resonated, comment, rise, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Please subscribe for more deep dives into reimagining our world from the inside out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.